fundamental unit of life. In my previous video lecture, we have discussed about discovery of cell. Also, we have discussed about major scientists who just do contribution in the discovery of cell. That four scientists are Robert Hooke, Leeuwenhoek, Robert Brown, and J.E. Purkinje. Then, just we will revise them in short. So first scientist was Robert Hooke, who just in 1665 Robert Hooke just observed thin slice of cork under his self-designed primitive microscope and he just discovered the term cell. Then second scientist was Leeuwenhoek. So in 1674 Leeuwenhoek was the first scientist who first time observed free living things in pond water. He just gave name to that animalcules. Then third scientist was Robert Brown. So discovery of Robert Brown is in 1831. In 1831 just Robert Brown discovered nucleus in a plant cell, and then next scientist, last scientist who is majorly contributed in the discovery of cell was J.E. Purkinje. J.E. Purkinje in 1839, J.E. Purkinje first time coined the term protoplasm for the fluid which is present in the cell. So J.E. Purkinje was the scientist who first time coined the term protoplasm. So these are the four scientists who majorly contribute in the discovery of cell. Now we are going to study about cell theory. In my previous video lecture, I also told you the name of three scientists who just put forward this cell theory. So let's start cell theory. Three scientists were majorly contribute into the discovery of cell theory: Schilden and Schwann. So Schilden was the scientist who just worked on plant cell, and Schwann was the scientist who worked on animal cell. Both they worked together, and in 1839 they just put forward the theory which we call cell theory. So postulates of that cell theory are: all living things are made up of cells, and second thing, the cell is structural, functional, basic and fundamental unit of life. All these points we have discussed in my previous video lecture. Why cell is called fundamental unit of life, why it is called functional and structural unit of life. So after that in 1855 Virchow was the scientist who just modified that cell theory which was proposed by Schilden and Schwann, and he just added some more points into that cell theory. So in 1855 Virchow just added some more points. He just gave postulate: all cells arises from pre-existing cells. Means when any cell is available, then that cell just divide, and from that pre-existing cell new cell just arrives. This is the postulate of Virchow. So when we are talking about cell theory, we can add many points into that postulate. So first point of cell theory: all organisms are made up of cell. Then cell can arise from pre-existing cell. All cells consist of same basic component. You have studied about it. The basic structure of cell consists of cytoplasm, cell membrane and nucleus. So in all types of cells nucleus is present. That's why the basic chemical composition DNA, nucleic acid is same in all the cells. Next postulate of cell theory is energy flow occurs within the cell, and then you can see in the diagram hereditary information just carried out by the cells, because cell consists of nucleus, and in that nucleus DNA is present which is responsible for carrying hereditary information from one generation to next generation. So when we are talking about cell theory, we have to mention that all points that cell theory, postulates of cell theory are: all living things are made up of cells. Cells all cells arise from pre-existing cells. All cells have basic chemical composition, same chemical composition. Then energy flow occurs within the cell. Hereditary information can transfer from cells, and the cell is structural, functional and fundamental unit of life. All these points you have to mention. So postulates of cell theory are: all living things are made up of cells. A cell is structural and functional unit of life. All cells arise from pre-existing cells. Life of every organism starts from single cell. All cells have basic chemical composition. Energy flow occurs within cells, and last point is hereditary information is passed from cells. So you all know and we have studied about the basic structure of cell. Cell consists of cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus, and all cell organelles are just embedded into that cytoplasm. But we can, as you can see in this diagram, we can easily distinguish nucleus and all cell organelles from this diagram, because each and every organelle, even though nucleus, has its own outer membrane. That's why we can easily distinguish them from that diagram. Then tell me, if nucleus is not bounded by a particular membrane, which we call nuclear membrane, then what will happen? Whatever present into that nucleus get mixed with cytoplasm. Whatever present into cell organelle, that get merged into that cytoplasm, and we cannot distinguish different parts of that nucleus, different cell organelles. So we can easily distinguish these nucleus, all cell organelles, because each cell organelle, and even nucleus has its own outer membrane. Without that outer membrane, we cannot easily distinguish all cell organelles and nucleus. What will happen? All get merged, all get mixed into that cytoplasm. So depending upon these criteria, cells are classified into two types: prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. So first, prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. You can see in the diagram, prokaryotic cell is just primitive structure which consists of nucleoid, capsule, flagellum, cell wall, cell membrane, and ribosomes. But in this diagram, you cannot easily distinguish where the cell organelles are situated, where is the nucleus, because all cell organelles are not bounded by outer membrane. That's why what happened in this diagram, all get merged. Whatever present into nucleus, whatever present into that cell organelle get mixes into that cytoplasm. But in eukaryotic cell, you can easily distinguish all types of cell organelles: nucleus, nucleoid, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, because each and every cell organelle is bounded by particular cell membrane. So these are the criteria on which all cells are classified into two types: prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. So what are the characteristics of prokaryotic cell and what are the characteristics of eukaryotic cell? So question may be asked like this in your exam: distinguish between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. That time you have to draw diagram also and you have to write down this point. So prokaryotic cell. So characteristics of prokaryotic cells are: the size of cell generally small, ranges between 1 to 10 micrometer. A true nucleus is absent. DNA lies directly in the cytoplasm. Nuclear region is devoid of nuclear membrane, means nuclear membrane not bounded by outer membrane, nuclear membrane. So one single chromosome is present. Membrane bound organelles are absent. Smaller and randomly scattered ribosomes are found in the cytoplasm. Nucleolus is absent, and also these are the examples of these prokaryotic cells are bacteria, blue-green algae, because these prokaryotic cells are found in very primitive organisms. So eukaryotic cells are found in all types of plants, animals, also in human beings, fungi. So characteristics of eukaryotic cells are: size of cell is generally larger than prokaryotic cell, 5 to 100 micrometer. A distinct nucleus is present which is surrounded by nuclear membrane. Many chromosomes are present. In prokaryotic cell, only single chromosome is present. Membrane bound cell organelles are present. Then these ribosomes are bigger and can free or attach to endoplasmic reticulum. Nucleolus is present, and examples are plants, animals, and fungi. So these eukaryotic cells are classified into two types: plant cell and animal cell. Now we are going to study about plant cell and animal cell. You can see here what is the structure of plant cell and what is the structure of animal cell that we are going to study. So here two structures are there: plant cell and animal cell. So first we are talking about plant cell. Plant cell consists of cell membrane, cell wall, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, chloroplast, nucleolus, nucleus, vacuole, and cytoplasm. And animal cell consists of lysosome, rough endoplasmic reticulum, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, plasma membrane, cytoplasm, ribosomes, centrioles, nucleus, nucleolus, Golgi apparatus, and mitochondria. When you just observe these two diagrams, you can easily distinguish between these two diagrams. First main difference between these two diagrams, between these two cells, is chloroplast is present in plant cell, whereas chloroplast is absent in animal cell. Also in plant cell, you can see here in the diagram, a cell membrane is also bounded by one more membrane, cell wall. So cell wall is present in plant cell and cell wall is absent in animal cell. Mitochondria are fewer in number. In animal cell, mitochondria are in a larger number. Then vacuoles, when we are talking about vacuole, larger vacuoles are present in plant cell and smaller vacuoles are present in animal cells. Because of this larger vacuole, nucleus just shifted to periphery, and in animal cell, nucleus is present at the center of that cell. So these are the differences between this plant cell and animal cell. You can see here what is the difference between plant cell and animal cell. So in plant cell are usually larger than animal cells. Animal cells are normally smaller in size. Then in plant cell, plasma membrane is surrounded by rigid cell wall. The cell wall is absent in animal cell. Then nucleus lies in the periphery. In animal cell, nucleus lies in the center. Large vacuoles are present in plant cell, while small vacuoles are present in animal cell. Plastids means chloroplast. Chloroplast is present in plant cell, with the help of which plants can prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis. And these plastids are absent in animal cells. That's why they cannot prepare their own food. Few mitochondria are present in plant cell, where many mitochondria are present in animal cell. Then you can see many points are there. Golgi apparatus exists in many smaller units called dicotysomes, and Golgi apparatus exists as a single unit. Centrosomes and centrioles are absent. Here centrioles and centrosomes are present. Lysosomes are rare. In animal cell, lysosomes are present. Plant cell can synthesize all the amino acids and vitamins required by it. Animal cell cannot synthesize certain amino acids and vitamins by itself. So student, in our this video lecture, we have studied about cell theory, what are the postulates of cell theory, what is the basic structure of cell, depending upon the criteria whether cell organelles and nucleus are bounded by that particular membrane. All cells are classified into two types, prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Also, eukaryotic cells are also classified into two types, plant cell and animal cell. We have discussed about all the properties of prokaryotic, eukaryotic, plant and animal cell. Though if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Students, do watch and listen the video carefully so that you will get all points, you will understand all the points in detail. Thank you.